allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Father God, thank you so much for the very beautiful fall day. We so appreciate the beauty you've given us. We ask for your continued hand of protection upon our city's police force, fire service, administration, and our school district. In your name, amen.
Amen. Ms. Grazia?
Present.
You said hello.
Yeah, I said present.
Mr. Scholes? Mr. Scholes?
Here.
Mr. Smolik?
Here.
Ms. Simons? Here. Mr. Ziegler? Mr. Fenstermaker?
Here.
Mr. Hamer?
Here.
Thank you. On to the reading and approval of the minutes of October 7th, 2024 work session. Looking for a motion.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion, changes? Thank you. Ms. Muscatello?
Ms. Grazia?
Yes.
Mr. Scholes?
Same.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes.
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Okay, on to the minutes of the October 7th, 2024 council meeting. Looking for a motion.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
That was Simmons again for the second. Ron for the motion. Any changes or discussion? Ms. Muscatello?
Ms. Grazia?
Yes.
Mr. Scholes?
Abstain.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes.
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Okay, on to department reports. Chief Hutton won't be joining us today. Chief McAllister?
Thank you, Council President Smolik. Just a few things tonight. Just from the last safety meeting we had, I'm working on that emergency checklist for residents. The hope is we can put an emergency preparedness link on the website. That'll have that checklist and a list of phone numbers and other things for resources for the residents. I'll work on getting that done and submitted to you guys for a final approval. In addition, we just recently had Coffee with a Cop over at the community center. It was a national day for police. It was an amazing time talking to a lot of the residents and just enjoying coffee, some good conversations, interesting stories, and some very good questions. We also have coming up this Wednesday, the 23rd, trunk or treat. That'll be from 6:30 to 8:30 at this building here. It'll be police, service, the administration. I also believe the library will be hosting something over there. Thursday, the 24th at 6:30, we will be hosting a teen driver safety talk here at the building. And I believe you can register for that online if you're interested in coming. And then finally, on October 30th, we'll be having a Book Nook event for the kids. We're going to be reading The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, and then having a film in here afterwards with popcorn and refreshments. And that'll complete my report, and I'm open for any questions.
Thank you, Chief McAllister. Any questions for the chief?
Chief, relative to your effort in educating the community about texting and driving, have you noticed an uptick, a downtick relative to your officers seeing that or ticketing that activity, or is it still yet too early to tell?
It's too early to tell. I know we haven't had a lot of traffic stops from it, and we have not issued a lot of citations from it. I know we have stopped people. We've still been giving warnings. The officers are, when they're sitting on roadside, they're looking, or when they're driving behind vehicles, they're trying to make sure that people don't have a phone up in their face, and they are stopping for those things. But you know, as long as we feel like we can have a good conversation with them roadside, and we feel like we may be able to get a correction, we're not too quick to take enforcement action on it. But for those second violations, when we do stop somebody, it gets logged in our computer, and it will show up if we stop them again and what that warning was for. So then that would be our preferred course of action, is just to do enforcement after that first warning.
Appreciate it, Chief. Thank you.
Any other questions for Chief McAllister? Thanks, Chief. Mr. Fernaro.
Good evening, everybody. Like I always start off, I'd like to thank the team for doing such a great job. We had last Saturday, we had another successful shred day with a lot of residents showing up. It went well. Monday, this coming Monday, we'll start our fall brush pickup in wards 1 and 4. We had a brief discussion about the road program. 101G is almost complete. I'll let Doug talk to the rest of it. Bridge, we have an update meeting tomorrow with ODOT at 10 o'clock. That completes our report. 306 Bridge. Booth Bridge, we talked about earlier. The structure's set, the guardrails are in, so it should be done shortly.
With relation. With relation to the fall brush pickup, just for the purpose of making people aware, what are the bundles, and you guys will just be picking up on Monday, or how does that work?
That should be up online. The regulations should be up there, same as always.
Okay. I guess I just wanted to highlight it so that people can, so we can push it so that everybody knows it's coming.
Yeah, generally the 3 foot long stacked neatly bundles, not a pickup stick to the pile.
Bundles and tied, it helps. It usually doesn't happen, but
No stumps, no.
one way or another, we'll get it picked up.
We can do a fresh post as well and put that link inside the post so people can just click right on it, take it to the page.
That'd be great. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Finaro, there's also a caliper, a diameter issue you'd like to maintain.
The mayor will put it up on.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Fernaro. Any other questions for Mr. Fernaro? Mr. Courtney?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. The street program is moving along. All the base repairs on the recycled streets have been marked, along with the aggregate drains on all streets. After completion of that work, they will finish with the final asphalt courses and do the berms. Like we mentioned in the work session, we should be about 3 weeks away from finished on that job. Community center parking lot is done. The only thing to be redone on that job is the asphalt curbs. They didn't turn out real well. The contractor's been notified. They're going to be redoing them all. Old Town Sewer, all the restoration work is complete, and the county is, I believe, still negotiating the final change order. And Joe mentioned the bridges, so that pretty much completes my report. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Courtney. Any questions for Mr. Courtney? Thank you, Doug. Actually, the community center, senior center parking lot turned out looked very well. You know, they were going to redo the curbs there, or there's a little curbage. They were going to come out and redo.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know if something was wrong with the asphalt. It was too hot, or
Yeah, just
or
on
what
the
happened.
line. But yeah, the parking
just
lot looked
couldn't
fantastic.
Keep it formed. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you much, Doug. Any other questions? Thank you. Mr. Slapnicker.
Thank you, Council President Smolik. The September 2024 end-of-month reports have been distributed and posted online, or shortly there. Yep, Teresa says they're posted online. We got our new healthcare rates for 2025 from the county. They're going to increase those rates 6.5%. So what we have budgeted in 2024 was around $700,000 for healthcare. So the math works out to be about around $45,000 increase that we're looking at for 2025. If you remember, for our 2024 renewal, we did receive a January and February holiday credit. I've been notified that it does not appear that we're getting that credit this year for 2025, but I have asked them to take a harder look into that as well. We have our property and casualty insurance renewal that we're working through right now, so that will be in front of council prior to December 31st, and we are still working hard on wrapping up the audit. That concludes my report, and I'm available for any questions.
Do you have a timeline on the audit being wrapped up?
It's up to them, but it's within a couple weeks, I would say.
Anything alarming or surprising through this audit?
There's nothing on there other than the negative fund balance in Temple View.
That's why we like it nice and boring, right? Thank you, Louis. Any other questions for Mr. Slapnicker? Thank you, Louis. Mr. Lallo.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I know I emailed you all on Thursday about the Ohio Supreme Court declined to accept jurisdiction on the Lance Nossi appeal. So happily, I can say that there are no further issues to adjudicate on the issue, and this matter is now appropriately closed. I actually received an email from our counsel today, specifically informing us that he's closing his file and the case is officially closed. So it's been about, 4 years of litigation. Thankfully, we've won every single issue, every single appeal, and I firmly believe we could put this issue behind us now. Aside from that, nothing else really going on in the legal department aside from random record requests and just the standard. So, but if you have other questions for me, I'm happy to take them.
Thank you, Mr. Lello. Any questions for Mr. Lello? And much appreciated. Thanks for the good news on the case being shut down or closed, hopefully. Any other questions? Sorry, Ms. Zeri, any updates for the Community Senior Center?
Nothing official, just again, a reminder, thank you, Chief, about Trunk or Treat this Wednesday. We actually have 9 locations around the city. Those are posted online as well as hung up kind of all over the place at those locations. The other thing, I don't believe we'll be meeting maybe once before then. On Monday the 11th, the American Legion will be hosting a Veterans Day ceremony over at the memorial. So make sure to mark your calendars for that event, and we thank them for hosting that every year. I'm open for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Zeri. Any questions for Teresa?
Is regular trick-or-treating on the regular night and time?
Yes, from 6 to 8, if people choose.
Planning on going out? Scott, remember, you got to
I gotta buy candy for the 2 kids on my street.
Thank you, Teresa. Mayor Potter.
Thanks, Council President Smolik. Try to be quick here, get us to this meeting rather quickly. We have one piece of legislation, 24R-75. This resolution allows the City of Kirtland to enter into the City of Kirtland municipal buildings, streetlights, and traffic lights to enter into a contract with NOPAC to get NOPAC preferred pricing. This is not for residents and businesses at their dwellings. This is only for city buildings. Totally different pricing structure and bid process. So I would ask the council pass this tonight so we can lock in pricing, as it does seem to go increase, as Mr. Finaro mentioned during the work session over time. So if we could do that tonight, that would be great. That's the only piece of legislation. Teresa mentioned Trunk or Treat. Eddie will be here at don't forget the November meeting, or the first meeting in November is the day after Election Day. We don't have the meeting on that Monday night because this room will be set up for the Board of Elections for voting. A resident did contact me early last week to let me know that he was going out to the Board of Elections and filing for to create a committee to do a kind of a last bit of an effort to advocate for the upcoming issue 2 road issue. So if anyone wants his contact information, you can see me after the meeting. Don't know exactly how it'll go and what he plans to do, but nonetheless, I did say that I would bring that up to council. So, road update. Joe and Doug had kind of given an update as to progress during the work session. One thing we brought up during the work session is because the overall bids did come in lower than what we had originally budgeted. Lewis is going to run some final numbers tomorrow, but we had talked about having a special meeting next week and trying to get one more short road that Joe had got an estimate for, Kelsey Court up off of Worrell. If anyone's familiar with Kelsey Court, it's a concrete road and it's pretty, pretty deplorable conditions up there. So I think the price Joe got was for $69,000, which, if everyone remembers, we had recently updated our ordinances related to public bidding. So anything below $75,000, we can have an informal estimate bid, but obviously it still would be over my $25,000 spending authority. So we would need to go before council. So we talked about next Monday night having a special meeting. It shouldn't and wouldn't take too long, would be the hope, and to get that moving while the road construction still going on while the contractor's still in town, to get that done would be much preferred. Utilities Commission, we do need to schedule a date, and I think we talked about it getting into December at this point, Joe, is that correct? Maybe mid-December? So maybe we can talk offline, Mr. Smolik and Councilman
Good for
Hamer,
everybody here.
and come up with a date. And I think that 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning seemed to work from the resident standpoint. That's what they all, I mean, we had a good crowd here at the last meeting, so that should give Mr. Finaro enough time to get all the numbers together and have a little bit of pre-discussion with you guys. So other than that, I think that's about it. Say again? So I'm open for questions.
I know we're gonna talk about this, Monday, because hopefully we can all do this on Monday, but the 69K for Kelsey Court, just from a financial standpoint, it's because we have surplus funds from what we originally, how are we funding it?
It'd be funded through the road improvement project, which would be part of the $2.5 million note that we had. But based on everything coming in under budget, there are available funds for that to be used.
Sure there's not enough to do Ledgewood Rockwood too in there? Okay, and actually, Mr. Schultz, you missed the earlier part of the meeting. You good with next Monday? We're gonna need 5 people in here for, it's obviously only gonna be like a 10-minute meeting, because we just need to approve,
I'll get back to you.
okay.
Yep, sorry.
Monday work? Monday? Ms. Muscatelli, you wanna plan on next Monday then? Put out the public notice for that then?
Should probably contact Eric as well, right?
Pardon?
Contact Eric as well, obviously.
Yeah.
But like you said, you've got a
Got
core
one
of 5.
Now
as
it'd be
it is.
5 even without Eric, but
Right.
I'll put it up with Eric also.
I'm open for any other questions.
At 6:30, so it can be out here by 6:45.
6:30 is fine. You want to do 6:30? 6:30 this Monday. This Monday, the October 28th, 6:30.
you good for that? Or we don't have to?
And any other questions for Mayor?
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Mayor, on, I think it was 919, I had asked if you could inform council relative to the capital budget items that were laid out in March, and walk us through, what's been done, what hasn't been done, and why, when will it be done, or why won't those things that were budgeted be done?
I think the finance director can pull that up rather quickly.
Okay, so on the original list that was presented to council back in budget, some items that we have that are still outstanding include, and I can forward a list to council too, so you don't have to quickly jot this down. But we have a plow for truck number 10, DVR system over at the service department, City Hall stucco and City Hall HVAC, the north wall at Station 2, water pump for boiler at Community Center, fix the front island and add painting at Community Center, the dishwasher at Community Center, and lift at Community Center. So they're all pretty minimal things when we're talking about capital purchases. The larger items have already been ordered or purchased already. So I'll get council the full list with the dollar amounts that we have, but we're looking at 21, 46, 76, maybe around $100,000 left of unpurchased capital.
If there's anything pending out of that list that potentially is still gonna get done this year, can you just note that also?
Yes.
Thank you.
When you say larger items, we're talking the fire truck, plow, that type of stuff that we haven't received.
Yeah, like we've already, with the police car and the truck at the service department, plow truck, things like that, that has already been taken care of.
Speaking of the police car, are we receiving that soon, or did we receive the police car yet, or?
The build date started actually today. 10/21 was the build date. We were waiting on a push bumper.
Okay.
Well, I guess, let me ask my question in a different manner. Council approved that, the money was set aside to be spent. If it's not spent, then I think council needs to understand why it wasn't spent or why there was a delay in that spending. Because if it goes on until next year, prices are just going to be more, right? So that's kind of,
I could jump in.
have prices been received for the vast majority of those things and it's just waiting to pull the trigger, or, you know?
I could jump in on a couple. So the island at the community center, we're waiting for the curbs to get redone. So I wasn't going to do that planning or fix that island until the curbs were done. So they got done and now they have to get redone. So that's held up. The lift for the community center, we thought we could find a used lift for $3,000. We can't find one. So it's kind of unique. That lift could only be 34 inches wide to get through those doors, and there's not too many of them out there. The stucco, we're holding off on the stucco. We're waiting on prices to get the beams wrapped with aluminum. So a couple of things are held up waiting for prices, and a couple of things we just can't get to yet.
Okay, so with relative to that door and that lift, is now it's a change of scope, obviously. So is it looking at, you know, getting a door that's 36 inches wide or ADA? I'm assuming it was ADA when it was built, but maybe those
So
standards have
we
changed.
rented a lift for $150 to get the ceiling tiles replaced, and we're still going to keep looking for a used lift. It's not used that much, so I just want to wait and hold off till we can.
Okay. Yeah, it just, you know, in this inflationary environment, if those things just don't get spent, if the money's not spent, then we're just spending more later. Don't have utility of those items, so that's why.
So just a quick point of reference, originally in the budget that we were funding out of the general fund of the capital improvement project was around $934,000. Of that, we only have about $100,000 of outstanding items still for purchase, which Mr. Fernaro went over a couple of them there. So the vast majority of the capital has already been purchased or encumbered via purchase order.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Lewis. Any other questions for the mayor? None, thank you. On to standing committee reports. Don't have any current standing committee reports, but we do want to get a utility, which we talked about earlier, but that's a utility commission.
I also like to tentatively schedule a recreation committee meeting,
Recreation pertaining to,
recreational activities behind the school.
oh, okay. Who's on that committee? Do you know right now?
Top of my head, but that's why I wanted to let people be aware. That
Well, rec committee. Who's on the recreation committee?
Scott Hamer, Julie Simon, and Mary Ziegler.
Okay. When were you looking to do this?
I just want to get on people's radar, and then we could have it after a meeting or before a meeting.
Okay.
We haven't talked about the rec park in a while.
Get online with Rhea, you pick out a time what you want to do it before or after a meeting, and we'll set it up at the next meeting or before the next meeting. Sorry.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Hamer. Any other committee? None at this time? Any special committee reports? None at this time. Correspondence, Ms. Muscatello, I don't believe I received any correspondence, or was it the,
We do have the correspondence from the Division of Liquor Control, I believe, regarding the transfer of the liquor permit. Essentially, it's for formerly Just One More Crawleys. Essentially, we get these fairly regularly whenever these entities change hands. And the sole issue is whether council has any objections to the transfer. If you do, speak now. If not, then we can send in the letter back to the state indicating that there's no objections.
any objections? No, this was for Crawley's then?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Just so council's aware,
Yes.
I did backgrounds on all the proprietors and everybody came back clean, no issues. We have not had any significant incidents there since the bar opened, so I would say that it's probably a good decision to allow the transfer.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Matt.
Ms. Simons, you were saying something?
He answered the
Okay.
exact question I was going to ask, so we're good.
Okay. And on to public comments on matters not on the agenda. We open up to the public for any comments not on the agenda today.
Sharon Viscasil, 8415 North Locust. Don't shoot the messenger. A friend of mine lives on Far Bar. She asked the question, if the city is struggling with road levy funds, where did the money come from to do the senior center?
Actually, that's a great question. Someone just asked me that yesterday. So that was a additional capital grant from the county senior levy. Could only be used for this senior center, community center, correct, Lewis? And that was for what, 50,000? So more than 50% of that came from that, and then the other dollars came from community center funding through our own recreational levy. So no general fund dollars were spent. Only dollars were spent that come from levies that support that building. So,
I
yeah.
made the comment that the senior center has its own budget funds, and I would check into it and let her know.
Yes.
And so she wants to know, when is Crary and Farbar going to get done?
2035. Tell her to vote yes on issue 2.
That would be very, we have the 10-year road plan on, but that is,
It's on the
10-year road plan that is on the website, but that is obviously dependent on us having funding for it, which we put up every year. So.
And just a reminder that on the 28th, also from 10 to 2 is going to be the Sub-Zero bus for collecting the coats, hats, gloves, boots, and new socks for the homeless veterans. And Teresa had said that the donation box at the senior center has already gotten full once already. So this looks like the community is stepping up, and we're going to have a nice donation for them.
Yeah. Mrs. Visicil, Finance Director is double checking my note or assertion that no general fund dollars were spent. We may have spent some general fund dollars, but if we did that, it was, so 50,000 wasn't going to, that was an obvious project to do, to use that county levy funds. And if that wasn't going to pay for the whole thing, to only pave, kind of a smaller part of it, didn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. So we'll get that answer here quickly for you, and maybe, a small dollar amount from the general fund. But that was, yes.
Can I just add to, I think it's a great question, and I think when the community has those types of questions, they should absolutely come forward with them, because there are a lot of state and federal grants and things like that that become available, but are only available if we use them for seniors or for something very specific. So a lot of times when you're seeing something like that happening and you're kind of feeling like, why would we do this over this? It's really when we're given the money to do something and we can only spend it for this one thing, we're not going to look the gift horse in the mouth and say no. But it's a great question. And if people don't ask that question, they're going to just assume that we're just making random decisions. So I think it's great that she asked.
And with that, is the community notified that these grants and funds are coming in to being spent specifically for certain things, and that's why?
So during the budget process, yes, but I know not everybody, pays the kind of attention that you guys do to that. So I will make a note of it and put it in both in my senior letter that Ms. Zeri typically has to ask me about 40 times to get over to her before publishing, and then I will do it in the Chronicle November 2nd issue.
I did invite her to come, but she says, "Oh, you always go."
And I guess we'll say I still have the floor. Is that okay, Mr. Council President? We still do have, or do I still have the floor? Do you mind?
Go right ahead, sir.
Mr. Councilman Fenstermaker was shaking his head no.
Ron wants to keep early. Let's keep him here an extra 5 or 10 minutes.
One thing I did not mention is on November 9th, we have our Community Volunteer Day, where we go around and in droves of volunteers to clean up the yards of seniors and veterans. So we'll meet here at City Hall. I think typically, Teresa, at 8 a.m. Is that what we normally do? And then we'll go out and we'll break up into groups. And I can't tell you what a great feeling it is, and the appreciation that the folks that we're able to help, seniors and veterans, have every spring and fall when we do this. So if you can possibly make some extra time.
What day was that, Mayor?
November 9th, Saturday.
Yeah, I have it down here. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Ron.
Any other questions for the mayor? Okay, if not, we were on public comments on matters not on the agenda. So any other questions or comments? Go right ahead, sir. I think it's on. You can turn it off. And state your name and
Experienced. Yeah, Jason Bridges, 7199 Berkshire Hills Drive. Just up here a little bit. I just want to give a little gratitude to a couple departments publicly. But I was watching October 7th council meeting when Mayor Potter said that how good he felt taking a vacation overseas. I hope it was nice, Paris or something, wherever he went, that he felt really good about leaving, not worrying about, because all of the departments and the council, I could handle anything. And so I thought I would give a granular example of something that went really well that made my family and I feel really safe. So August 19th at 1 a.m, I woke up in the middle of the night in a seizure. Of course, I didn't know I was in a seizure, and then went down, and then my wife called the dispatch. This is 1 a.m, and the dispatch was amazing. Walked her through it, made her feel calm, helped her out. I think your officers were there. This is all coming from my wife. Like in 2 minutes, maybe 3, maybe 4, who knows? And then EMTs were there pretty fast, and they pretty much saved my life. And they also helped my wife feel safe because she was trying to handle the situation and stop my kids from running into the bedroom and seeing, what would be not a good sight to see. And they really helped her. They were professional. And I don't think police and fire and EMTs get enough credit. I mean, this is what they do every day. And if you talk to them, they're like, that's our job. But they're the balance of being professional, being serious, but also making my wife and family feel really safe. I came to on the way to the ambulance. I don't remember anybody, but they were very, very nice and made me feel safe when at a time that I didn't really know what was going on. So Chief Hutton's not here, but Chief McAllister, to your men and women of both those departments, please pass this on because it was really, really an amazing situation. So we just moved here a year ago, and I feel that small towns, why we moved here, to be in a small town, but to have that level of professionalism is a really great thing. So thank you to all of you and the departments.
Much appreciated, Mr.
Thanks.
Bridges. Thank you.
I appreciate you coming out tonight and taking the time, and I'm glad you're doing better.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Usually when people come, it's just because they've got a complaint. So we like to hear when they're happy. Thank you.
Not Sterling or the Visicils, though.
Exactly, yeah. He'll be whining in a bit here, I'm sure, about something, so. I love you, brother. Any other public comments today? None at this time? Thank you. On to old business. There is no old business, so hence there's no public comments on agenda items of old business. On to new business. Public comments on agenda items of new business. Any public comments at this point? On Resolution R24-R-75, which is the only resolution on today? Not at this time. Okay, on to 24-R-75, resolution authorizing the city of Kirtland to sign contracts with NOPEC for preferred pricing as it relates to the city's electric service, small community aggregation conversion, and natural gas, and declaring an emergency. And again, this isn't the residential portion of NOPEC. This is just the city's, what the city uses directly by way of gas. Gas and electricity, does this also include, that's just gas and electricity on this one, correct, Mr. Fernando? Any questions or discussions on this? Oh, and we
Mr.
need
Council
to,
President, if council wishes to adopt it, to waive the 3 readings and adopt it today, you first need to amend the legislation to incorporate the new pricing that was released today. As I indicated in a correspondence this morning or this afternoon, NOPEC's pricing, it's available Monday through Friday. So last week I had their most up-to-date, and that's what I included with the send out in our legislation. But this morning I got the updated quotes or estimates or contracts from NOPEC. So Ms. Muscatello did prepare those, but we do ask that council amend the legislation to substitute the exhibits with the new exhibits.
okay,
So if there's a motion to amend accordingly,
we have a motion to amend?
So moved.
any discussion on the amendment?
Any discussion at this point?
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Did the rates go up from the previous quote?
I think.
I tried to find an email. I saw the,
Yeah. I don't
I mean, it is what it is.
Exactly.
We're stuck with it, but,
Yeah.
you know,
I don't know the answer to that. I
prepared
don't
the
wanna-
legislation under this, and we're getting a different one. I just hope it didn't go.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's all I got.
Motion to amend, do a reading on that then?
So there needs to be a vote on the amendment.
Ms. Muscatello?
Ms. Grazia? Yes. Mr. Scholes?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes.
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Okay, so we amended the exhibit to the current exhibit that you sent us this morning, and now we're looking for a motion to waive the 3 readings.
Correct.
Motion to waive the three readings.
Ms. Simmons and Ms. Grazia. Any discussion? Ms. Muscatello?
Ms. Grazia? Yes. Mr. Scholes?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes.
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Okay, now we are looking for a motion to declare an emergency and to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Schultz and Mr. Fenstermaker. Any discussion?
Mr. Finaro, a quick question, and it's somewhat related, but not really. Several years ago, we entered into an agreement with them when we started converting our street lighting to LED. How are we doing in that process? I know it was by when if a light went out, then we're replacing it, but can you give a percentage as
That's
to?
still the process, and back then, they said sodium had to be gone by 26. So we're working on it, but they won't give us that reduced rate until we're all converted to LEDs.
So what has to happen? We have to go throw some rocks?
Well,
BB guns.
we talked about using NOPEC to change our LEDs, and then they came up with that everyone has to be changed over by 26. So why would we spend our dollars when First Energy has to do it by 26?
Okay.
So I'm saying I think we should wait to 26 till they change them, and then we'll get our reduced rate.
It's a great question. Do you know what the percentage we have changed versus what we have left?
I don't.
I'm sure it's few and far between, because I know the policy was if it went out, then
Yeah, that's what.
we.
Yeah, but-
So, yeah, okay.
Yeah, but
It's
some-
just a question. I was thinking of it because.
Somebody's really good at driving around this city and getting those lights fixed, so I've changed over quite a few.
Thank you much.
You ever seen one of those things get hit or explode? I hit one on number 10 with the golf balls at Briardale. Thing went off like a bomb. It was like an M200. Not a good shot. Okay, so we had the questions. Ms. Muscatello, vote on the declare an emergency and adopt with which Matt and Ron seconded. Go right ahead for vote, please.
Ms. Grazia? Mr. Scholes?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes.
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Okay, that takes care of the legislation today. We're on to council comments. Any council comments at this period? Continuing concerns? Any continuing concerns? Okay, needed a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.